Commissioners. The date is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, and it's 9 a.m. Roll call.
President Ibarra,
Here.
Vice President Glazier,
Present.
Commissioner Hara,
Here.
Commissioner Ninberg,
Here. Commissioner
Commissioner Woods-Gray,
Here.
Fire Chief Terrazas,
Present.
and Deputy City Attorney Nguyen.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Flag salute, a moment of silence.
Ready, stand. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States of America,
to the
to
republic
the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and justice.
liberty, justice for all.
Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department who have devoted their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. We start as always with Commissioner comments.
Great. Thanks. So a couple of things. First thing is that I was hoping that we could learn more at the commission about the therapeutic transportation pilot program. I know that's something that's been in discussion for a while, and I think we don't know very much about it, but it sounds like something that would be good for the commission to be able to learn about. So I'd ask that be agendized even for a verbal report as soon as possible. Secondly, I have heard some troubling rumors of issues with timekeeping and overtime in general, but all related to the COVID deployment. So would be interested to get an update on where any kind of investigation came from that, if the department did any research into that. And the last thing is that I feel at this point that I need to flag the fact that we have not had an election for the past 4 years, which has been noted by the city attorney multiple times, most notably this morning in a letter. And so I asked Commissioner Ibarra to schedule the election as required by the charter. The fact that we haven't had a meeting in an election in so long, to me, is a dereliction of duty as board president and shows a bit of an authoritarian streak that suggests you believe in the democratic process only when it's convenient for you. So I would request that you direct the commission secretary now to agendize this election for the next June 1st meeting that we have, and that we have that meeting for and it not be canceled for any reason other than lack of a quorum. Thanks.
Do I have any other further commissioner comments?
Good morning, Jimmy Woods-Gray here. There are a couple of things that have been in the news recently. One was that the controller had 11 cases of fraud out of the fire department. And I don't know if that's an issue that the chief needs to close session for, or how he would discuss it with the commission. But I was surprised to see that coming from the newspaper and from a report. And I personally had no idea, I don't know about other commissioners, about the fact that we had fraud investigations concerning fraud. I would like to have more information on that in whichever way it can be provided, whether it's through a closed session or however. I'm sure the city attorneys can work that out. I noticed that there was an arson over in the, I like the use of the fire apparatus and vehicles over in the Venice area in the daytime, the extra. But I noticed there was a fire last night, I think, and there was concern that there would be fires at night. And so I'm not sure if you're considering either extending, overlapping, or redoing the schedules to put more assistance. And I'm not sure how the bicycle, is that too dangerous for bicycle people to be patrolling in the Venice area, because they get through real fast to seemingly to assist Councilman Bonner and the people out there in that area, because they have a real problem. But I was happy to see that Chief Hogan was reaching out and trying to find some way of helping, which was a good thing. I think those are my only two concerns at this moment. But I would like to get more information about those items and also see what arson is thinking about the. Well, actually, we've had two arsons. We had arson over in Palisades area, so the arson department is kind of getting. Not that they don't have a lot of work to do, but they're getting a lot of extra publicity here recently. We get to hear about it in the news. That's what it is. But the Venice area is a real concern because sometimes that's so close to people's homes. It's dangerous and that's scary. I know I would have a problem with that if I lived in that area. So I hope that the firefighters who are working that Palisades fire will stay safe, and we pray for them and their safety, because those wildfires, you can never tell which way they're going and what's going to happen with them. And it seems like, is it early, Chief, that we're having this fire?
Yes, it is, Commissioner, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
My comments.
Oh, okay, very good. Again, that's all that I think my questions for today.
Hi,
Do
good
I have-
morning.
This is Commissioner.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Dr. Hara.
Okay, this is Commissioner Hara. It is still API Heritage Month. The Asian Pacific Islander commissioners of the city, we've been doing a lot of cleanups of like Chinatown and Puebla Plaza, and we're going to be doing Little Tokyo and Little Bangladesh as well. So that's kind of what we've been up to. I'm still the manager for the Martin Luther King test site and vaccination site. And business has been very slow, but I've also on Saturday, I was at Gonzalez Park in South LA, and then this afternoon I'm going to be at Helen Keller Park, also in South LA, and those are two pop-up vaccination sites. So I've been pretty busy lately.
Bless you.
Oh, and Madam President, I neglected to comment on Commissioner Glazer's comments about the election. I support that because we have not had but 2 elections, I think, in the 6 years. And so I think it's appropriate that we try to bring our commission in compliance.
Okay.
Thank you.
I encourage you to talk to the mayor's office about that.
Well,
Directly.
I think the city attorney has made a statement, and doesn't the city attorney enforce the charter?
I encourage you to talk to the mayor's office about that.
Well, I'm still requesting that we have an election.
All right. I will consult with the mayor's office about that if you won't.
I'm sorry, but I think I won't.
I will consult with them. Since you won't do that, then I will.
So, hi, good morning, everyone. I mean, are we done? Yes. Yes, I just got an email from the city attorney. I've been on the commission for 5 years. Yes, 5 years, and there's never been an election. And I would like to request that there's an election as well. We are an independent body, so it's imperative that we keep the public trust. And I would like to direct the secretary to put that on the board agenda for the next meeting on June 1st, if possible. That would be great. And also that we don't cancel the meeting as well. I think it's imperative that we have a lot of times meetings get canceled here, and so we just want to make sure that we have a lot of reports coming on June 1st. And I don't know, can we do a quorum check? I think I have to ask the city attorney. Ms.
I
Nguyen?
think that would be appropriate for you to do offline, not necessarily as part of today's meeting.
Okay,
You can certainly, you're each free to indicate whether or not you believe you would be available for the next meeting, but it's informal.
My understanding is that all these things need to be agendized. So we're having an extensive discussion about something that hasn't been agendized. So one of the problems that we've had in this commission is that the city attorney's office gives political advice. So I would just recommend that the city attorney not give political advice if possible.
is it political advice if it's in the city charter?
We're having, ordinarily, the city attorney will tell us that we're having an extensive discussion about something that hasn't been agendized. I haven't heard that in this discussion, perhaps because there's a political reason for that. So,
Madam President, I think I would disagree with you. I think you have commissioners who are simply making a request to have something agendized, which is normally part and parcel of their their commissioner comment period. I would agree with you that any further discussion about it would extend beyond the four corners of the agenda. But at this point, all I've heard is a request by 3 commissioners to have a matter agendized for the next meeting, and that would not extend beyond the scope of this item. So,
okay, so we've exhausted this item. Thank you. Do we have, having no, okay.
I'm still talking. Thank you so much, Madam President. So I don't know what the therapeutic transportation is. And yes, I would also second hearing that as well. And I also want to commend the department for the great work in response to the Palisades fire. I mean, the department is extraordinary when it comes to operations, and I just want to say thank you so much.
Yes, agreed. Great work on that fire, really knocking that down.
And I just want to echo that. So it sounds like it's on its way to containment, but I'm sure that we will hear more from Chief Terrazas in a minute. Thank you to everybody working that fire. Okay, so that's all of our commissioner comments. Can we go to Fire Chief's comments?
Thank you, Madam President. I'll go through my schedule first. On Tuesday, May 4th, I gave an in-studio interview at Channel 35, and the topic was brush preparedness, which became very timely this weekend. Wednesday, May 5th, we had our Medal of Valor ceremony at Dodger Stadium. Very unique. It was an empty stadium. We were limited to 100 people, but it was pretty special for our honorees and their families. The mayor was there, and it was really a unique and very memorable experience. On Friday, May 7th, we met with the Archer Invention team. The Archer School is a school for girls in the Brentwood area of the city, and they had an invention which they wanted some input on. So we got on a Zoom call, and very inspiring group of young ladies, and they have a great idea. We'll see if it helps. Their invention was to spray water on the rooftops in the event of a brush fire, and they had some appliance that they had designed. Also on that day, I attended retired AC Frank Borden's funeral services in Rancho Palos Verdes. He was a icon within the fire department. He's the father of CERT. He also had a main role in the LAFD Historical Society, and he passed away unexpectedly earlier this month. On yesterday, May 17th, I joined Mayor Garcetti and Police Chief Mike Moore and several others in a press conference at Will Rogers State Beach. That's where our command post is for the Palisades fire. I spoke there, and I'll share with the group here that the fire to occur in May, when there is a marine layer, and there was actually sprinkling. It was a light rain over the weekend, and have a fire of that size burn was extremely unusual. And we're looking at factoring in things like the age of the prior fire. Some areas of the fire in the Palisades fire have not burned for up to 75 years. We did work with LAPD, and the suspect that we believe is involved in setting that fire is under custody with LAPD. So we're happy that that occurred. Very proud of our firefighters. As of late yesterday, we're at 23% containment, and our acres are about 1,325 acres. Those numbers will go up today, but it is going in a positive manner. Some of the things that were mentioned previously on the therapeutic van, we will give you a verbal report. We're meeting with the Department of Mental Health on a weekly basis, and we are targeting June 7th to begin training of Department of Mental Health personnel. Regarding any audit or the controller complaints, they are auditing the COVID timekeeping. We've been working very collaboratively with them since day one. Preliminary information showed that our people are working 6 and 7 days a week, and we are contractually obligated to pay them the rate that we negotiate in their contract. Very happy that we were able to stand up a COVID division on the fly, and now we have several protocols in place to ensure accuracy of timekeeping. More than happy to give an update on that at the appropriate time and place, but the audit has not been completed as of this time. That concludes my report. Thank you.
So much. Can we now consider the consent agenda items? Somebody want to move them?
Sure, move to adopt items 3A through 3D, adopt the recommendations.
Do I have a second?
Jimmy Woods Gray, I second.
Okay, so we have 2 seconds.
Okay.
Let's have a voice vote.
President Ibarra,
Aye.
Vice President Glazier.
Aye.
Commissioner Hara,
Aye.
Commissioner Ninberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Woods Gray.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to the regular agenda items. Item 4A is report BFC 21-052. It's report by the department on the gender equity report update.
Madam President, that'll be Chief Gerlich providing you that update.
Okay, thanks. Chief Gerlich, do you need help turning on your video and your audio?
Graham, do we know what number he's calling in from? Because I don't see his name.
It's Stacy Gerlich.
Stacy
It's
Gerlich.
Chief
Oh, there it
Stacy Gerlich.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she's on right now and she's unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
But you can't see me, right?
We cannot see you, no.
My video's on, but I don't know why you can't see me.
Yeah, we can't see you. It's up to you. You don't need to
I'm
turn it on.
sorry you can't see me. I look really good today.
I know.
I'm sure you do.
You better turn it on.
I'm having a really good hair day, but good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, and all of our distinguished guests. I just want to preface this report by saying that this is specifically related to the gender equity report efforts within the training division, and the metrics that we have will be added to the future overall department gender equity report backs. And I also wanted to just also say that I know that the title of the report is a little bit misleading, but this report back is actually in response to Commissioner Nimberg's request, and it does not represent the full gender equity picture of the department at this time. And I'm going to give you just the highlights because it's relatively long. So the report back that Commissioner Nimberg was asking for, she wanted an overview of the department's LAFD Training Institute, the status of the organizational study, COSEP and OSEP training plan, work environment surveys, and the 2021 training plans and attrition rates of recruits broken down by gender. So I'll start with the LAFD Training Institute and Public Service University Center. Just again, the highlights that the LAFD Training Institute is for the professional development of all ranks. And there are several areas that will cover and that it will offer. The Professional Development Center, or the PDC, that's going to reside at the Frank Hotchkin Memorial Training Center. And there will also be a website with the most up-to-date information and contacts. Within that center, there will be the Public Service University Center and the LAFD Training Institute. That's kind of the umbrella for that. The center will kind of be a hub for academic advisory services, online and on-campus classes. The LAFD Training Institute will be rank-specific classes in an organized and transparent manner that's similar to our Wildland Task Book format. And because of the COVID, as with many other things that we are all aware of, there's been a great delay in hiring outside contract vendors that can provide some of the courses. But we are definitely right now in the process of a request for proposal, and that is something that will be forthcoming. The organizational and training assessment study, again, challenges as we know because of COVID, but there has been approval for funding, a funding source. And that is, once the contract is approved by Chief Terrazas in the mayor's office, then training will begin to coordinate the timeline of the events for the calendar year 2021. The COSEP and OSEP training plan, there are numerous things in the works. Just a few examples, there's a 4-hour class that will be delivered on the ABC platoons. June will have brush training, August will have a high rise, November will be swiftwater and behavioral health. The recruit services section, the work environment surveys, in addition to the behavioral health surveys that were discussed in previous reports, the recruit services section is going to be reaching out to our union, UFLAC, and discussing bringing back probationary firefighter surveys. Attrition rates of the recruits broken down by gender. For the class 20-1 that began the academy in December of 2020, these are the breakdowns. There were 46 recruits that started the academy. 7 of them were females. 5 of the 7 were reassigned, so they were from previous classes. There were 3 females that graduated or are graduating, and then forgive me, I don't know if that occurred already. 39 males started, 8 of those were reassigned, and there was a total of 28 that graduated. And 7 of those were all reassigned. So that was kind of the breakdown there. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. I'm sure we have questions.
Thank you, Chief, so much. This was a great report, and I want to thank you for getting it back. I have a couple comments. One, I am thrilled about the LAFD training Institute and Public Service University Center. And that, it sounds fantastic, and will definitely open up opportunities to maybe, to everybody equally, which I think is really important. It's a great move by the department. I want to commend the chief for that. You mentioned here, so when do you see, well, so phase 1 of implementation, you're in phase 1. What does that mean?
So it's, Commissioner Nimberg, I'm just going to be really transparent here. Okay. So, most of this information is out of the Training Institute out of Frank Hodgkin.
Okay.
So, many of the questions that you might have for me, I am not going to just go off the cuff and say something that I really don't know. I would rather just say to you that I can jot down the questions, or we can have somebody record the questions, and then I can make sure that we get them to the appropriate person and get you the appropriate answers for you, rather than to sit here and try to guess.
100%. I do see that Chief Gutierrez is on as well. So, I mean, I think, just if that's easy enough so that we don't have to have a long, email back and forth. It might be easier if Chief Gutierrez do you have the ability to speak to it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, City Attorney. Yeah, specifically, first of all, I want to echo your comments. I think it's the idea to have both the LAFD Training Institute along with the PSU is tremendous. I think it's a great opportunity. And I agree with you. What it does, it provides really access to all members and really opens up opportunities and those seeking higher levels of education and prep for all promotional process. So really delighted. I can't take credit for it. Obviously, my predecessor, Chief Rideout, along with Chief Isong, and all the work they're continuing to do. But specifically to your question in phase 1 is really for outlining everything that goes into it. There has been, some setbacks due to COVID on a lot of the areas. However, we just had a meeting just as yesterday afternoon, specifically to where we're going with professional development, specific to the Training Institute, along with all the other programs that are going on. There has been an RFP that has been actually carved out, crafted more recently, moving forward. And this will allow us to go out for proposal and contracting so we get certified subject matter experts in delivery of the courses that we identify that are needed. And I think that specifically is very, very important because, again, it creates that transparency and consistency in training and opportunity. So again, specifically to phase 1 is really the planning phase. A lot of the work has been done. Now moving forward with the getting a contract in place, request for proposal, identifying a vendor that can be consistently looked upon to deliverables. And then we're still looking at other things in and around that. Again, I'm excited about it, something that I truly believe in. And I think, again, it's the department will benefit in now, currently, but more importantly in the future, specifically. Hope that answers your question.
Absolutely answers my question. Thank you. I know, yeah, when I read this, it really is, a fantastic move. And like I said, I'm just thrilled to see that it's beginning, that you've got the RFP. Do you have, when do you see full implementation of both programs?
Again, I really would say when we get the RFP completed and we identify a contractor, because again, in order to have consistency and deliverables on things, we have to have it through a outside third-party contracted piece. Now, what we're trying to do with that is actually cause almost a blend. So I'll just give you an example, kind of a hypothetical. Let's say there's a course that's identified like through the state fire marshal training or contact through another university. what we're doing is we're looking at that curriculum and we're going to set it up such that it meets the state requirement or the outside college requirement, but we're also able to bring in specifics to our department, the specific areas that we do uniquely as opposed to some other municipalities and such not. So we're really, in that sense, we're allowing it twofold, right? We're really, educating and training our members in line with the state or the education requirements by the universities. We're also giving that really, tangible, needed information and knowledge that's specific to our department to help them grow. So that's why it's taken a little bit more, so we can identify what vendors are out there that we can kind of partner with to do that, and then put it out for transparency through an RFP. So I think that's our biggest thing we're working on now. Once that's complete, we'll have a better timeline in terms of rollout.
Okay, great. I look forward. I'd love to see, when do you think a report back just on, this is a big development. So what would be a reasonable time frame for a report back?
I would say reasonable about 90 days.
Oh, 90 days. Okay.
Yeah, and it may, and I don't want to, that's pushing it.
How about let's just say, just because I know it's going to take a while for RFPs and come back. Okay, how about 90 days? Let's do 90 days. And
what I'd like to do in the 90 days is at least just report back where we're at and status.
I love it.
And that'll allow us to stay on point and identifying where we're at and continuously monitoring and what needs to be done next. And maybe even the commission can give some suggestions to assist us as well. So I think 90 days is fair. Not that we'll accomplish all the things we want. We'll be very aggressive and assertive on it, but we can at least provide the updates as needed.
I appreciate it. I think this is great, and it's a great move forward. Thank you so much for your work.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
All right. Excellent. So then that's all my questions for the Training Institute. I don't know if other commissioners have questions on that. The organization, well, oh yeah, Andrew Glazer does.
Sorry, just quickly on the PSU Center again, really exciting stuff. Could I just ask on the affiliated universities, are you guys setting in policy that will only be affiliated with WASC accredited and nonprofit universities?
I'd have to look into that. I know that at the state level, so the state is going on a track that I believe we're more than likely going to align with. And that would be, there would be those, it wouldn't be, I'd have to get back to you, Commissioner, to know the specifics of the language in it. So we do want to align in the state. The state has identified various universities that are aligning overall for professional development along the state lines. And I'm not specific to what the accreditation would be, so I'd have to report that back as well.
Okay, yeah, if I could just ask you guys to, all you working on it, that at least for the degree bearing programs, which, bachelor's or doctorates or associates, that those really as policy that we only affiliate as a department with WASC accredited nonprofit institutions of higher learning. For other, work related credits, I have less to say about that because I know the very specific stuff relating to specific fire training might be associated with a different accreditation or for-profit, whatever. Like, I don't, that's up to you guys. But again, for degree-bearing programs, please set it in policy that we will only affiliate with WASC accredited nonprofit institutions of higher learning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually second that. Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you. That's great. So moving on to the organization and training assessment study. Chief Gerlich, again, thank you. And I know that this was a lot and kind of out of your wheelhouse, but you said that you finally found a funding source. What is the funding source for this? Because I only say that because we voted on it in 2018, and then it passed in 2019, the budget. So I know that there was like issues, it got washed. And so what is the funding source?
So Commissioner Nimberg, I don't know if Chief Gutierrez is better, at that. I mean, he obviously has the institutional knowledge with the program, so he
Hey,
not
Chief,
trying.
this is a fire chief. I can weigh in on that. Commissioner Ninberg, you're accurate. We did have the money in the budget, which was swept during COVID. And then we started looking for alternative sources of revenue to pay for that, or funds. And we went to we checked with our foundation. The answer was no. We went to the Innovation Commission. The answer was no. And then we looked at our vet funds. And as long as there was a training component within the organizational study, it met the vet criteria. So that's the path we have chosen to take. We have already selected the vendor. We did that in collaboration with the mayor's office and the stakeholder groups. So we're getting back on track, and I'm looking forward to getting that report by the end of this calendar year.
Great. Do you know who's the point person in charge of managing this?
Well, Chief Perez is involved out of planning, and I know Deputy Mayor Gurrell is involved from the mayor's office, as well as Chief Gutierrez out of Training and Support Bureau.
Is this the program that I was going to be a liaison to?
I don't recall.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't the program, it was was it the selection maybe?
No, I couldn't be involved in the selection. It was only in the after the committee once started, but I never heard more back from. So now I know the money, something happened along the way, but I wasn't selected. There were complications in me being a part of the selection of a vendor, which they did select one, but I guess now they're starting over.
Yeah, I believe you're correct, Commissioner Woods Gray. The focus group that we're utilizing is our labor management work environment group, and which consists of all our stakeholder groups, including UFLAC and COA. So we're using an existing group to move forward with the Deloitte organizational study, and you are correct, and you are the liaison to that effort.
Have you been meeting?
We have not. We just recently, within the last month, determined that vet funds would work. And when we made that decision, we had people look at that and agree with us. And now we're on track again.
Excellent.
We have met, we did meet with the labor management work group last week, just to give an update on this project and a few others.
Excellent. Do you have because it's an organizational study and training assessment, do you have is there a plan to report back to the commission regularly? Has that been established?
I don't think we've established that, but we're happy to report back on our progress at regular intervals.
Great, excellent. So like quarterly, every 30 days or 90 days?
That sounds fine. We'll let you know where we're at in 90 days. Hopefully we've made some significant progress by then.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. And also, do you have the gender and racial makeup of the stakeholder group board? Or is it the assessment board? I don't know. You said there's a group. What do you call it?
Well, it's our labor management work environment work group, and they are members that represent all our stakeholders, the Centurions, Los Bomberos, the Women of the Fire Service, UFLAC, COA. And we don't direct them to send anybody in particular. I've asked for representation. It's up to them to send whoever they would like.
Right. Do you have actually, like, maybe when you report back in 90 days that you can just specify, okay, this is the labor management, this is the makeup of the labor management by race and gender? Would be great.
We can do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. So the recruit services section. I know, poor Stacy. Stacy's like, this is a lot. There's a lot of questions.
I just keep deflecting them.
I mean, yes, exactly. Yeah, it is a lot to put in one report, all of these reports. So you mentioned recruit services. What does it mean that UFLAC disallows surveys?
I can answer that, Commissioner.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, I apologize. A lot of this information does come from training division. It's just kind of the report back, and Stacy's done a fantastic job thus far.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank
So I mean, I hate to use the word disallowed in the report. What it was specifically is, and I don't know all the historical knowledge behind it, but traditionally in the past there were some surveys that were conducted to the recruits, specifically in the drill tower, and they were designed to provide feedback in terms of how to make the curriculum and the program better, more successful, but from the eyes of the recruit and not from the department. So along the way, those questions kind of got morphed along the way. And at some point, probably a little over 2 years ago or so, as that it started to get away from specifics to curriculum and things specific to the training academy. And I think it wasn't that they disallowed it. They wanted to come back and make it more, and so does the department, and make the surveys more specific to improvements in terms of what we can do to make the training academy specifically better for not only the department but the recruit, and better success rates, better things in terms of all the different areas. So I wouldn't say they specifically disallowed it. They just wanted to make it and specify the areas within the training academy. There are ongoing surveys that take place from field probationary members through quality assurance. So there are two kind of different things. So that's one of the things that we just discussed more recently with training division is let's meet collectively with stakeholders and let's discuss that, because we are, and I know I am specifically really interested in what things, what's going on and how can we improve them. So we're going to get back to doing that, meeting with UFLAC and going through that and ensuring that, for transparency, that we do provide that feedback loop through the eyes of the recruit and give us better information to better our curriculum overall.
And will those surveys, I mean, obviously they're anonymous. I take it they're anonymous?
Yes.
So would the data that came back, that would come to the board, correct?
I'm not sure what it's going to look like at this time. What I'd ask is that we sit with UFLAC, we go through and we work collectively at arm's length to develop what's feasible to get out of it. I think it's important that it is anonymous so we get true feedback from the recruit in different areas. So once we kind of comprise what that looks like, I think we can report back to see what it consists of. I don't even know what those metrics would be at this time.
Right. And who decides what the programming or what the, what's in the surveys?
I think we'll look at it in different pieces, because there's different pieces of the academy, right? There's even all the way through, because as it goes through, there's obviously that training component, but then there's the environment component. There's a number of pieces. So I think we'll look collectively, even to the point where UFLAC even health and safety related. So we want to look at it holistically, and we want to make sure that we kind of really look all of it. And then, again, what metrics are we going to drive out of that? Very interested on areas that we can improve on throughout.
Okay. Then maybe you can report back with that as well, as separate as instead of all in one report, just a separate report back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
when do you plan on, so you're going to be in negotiation. So maybe if we could just keep this going.
Yeah, I would say let's maybe market this to be determined. We have, because we want to get
progress report in 90 days. Just a progress report.
Progress report's fair.
Okay. Report 90 days. Okay, great. Because I love the LAFD vision statement, and it says, the LAFD will provide exceptional fire protection and emergency medical services by being metric driven, technologically sophisticated and community focused while reflecting the people we serve. And so I think as far as metric driven, having these surveys will be key to making sure we understand where we're succeeding and where we can improve. You know, just like you have after action reports for all incidents, which is why this LAFD is so phenomenal, you know, operationally. There's always after action reports, always searching to be the best. And this also will reflect, you know, their imperative to reflect the vision that has been set out by the chief here. And so I definitely appreciate that. And let's see. So, and another, just my last question, but it's not. Stacy or Chief Gerlich, sorry. Chief, can you, I'm a little bit confused by the numbers on the attrition rates of recruits broken down by gender. And just if you could walk me through, that would be fantastic. 46 recruits started the academy, 7 were female, and 5 came that were reassigned from before?
That's correct.
Oh, okay. So, all right, Chief Gutierrez.
Yes.
Perfect.
That's correct.
Okay. So 5, so we started with 2 new, and you had 5 people who had already gone through the process. Can you explain what reassigned means? Just refresh my memory. That'd be great.
Reassigned means they were in a previous Drill Tower Academy class, and there's specific areas that would qualify them for a reassignment to another ones. And it's broken down. We actually have a report back from Chief Skelly coming, I think, in June that's going to lay it out specifically. But kind of in a nutshell is that a recruit can be in a class, and then there's an area that they maybe become unsuccessful in, and there's a specific area that they would qualify to be pushed over. It could be due to an injury, it could be due to other circumstances related to it. So that would be the reassignment program. By the way, that program is very, very successful. I believe it's, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's about 80% success rate with the reassignment. So it's something that's, it's a good thing. It's, I spent a long time as a drill master and recruit services for a long, long time. And that's one of the things that I think is great value, not only for, you know, obviously the individual recruit, but for the department as a whole. You know, we make a huge investment of taxpayer dollars into these individuals. They're well vetted as they go through, and then things happen, unfortunately, whether it's due to injury or illness, or there's only a certain amount of time that they can miss in a curriculum within a class, within that, to stay, you know, kind of stay on board with the class. So the opportunity to reassign is really a good thing, and they do a tremendous job out there under Chief Hissong and Training Division with Chief Skelly. They really, again, I've been involved with training for a very, very long time in this department, and I'm impressed with what they're doing. So
yes, so it's basically that you're taking recruits that are struggling in areas or they've been injured, and you allow them to go into another class.
correct.
Okay. And so you started with 5, and then you have 3 graduating in May, but they were all reassigned. What does that mean?
Out of the 5, the 3 that are graduating were part of that initial 5 that were reassigned.
So what happened to the 2? There's 2 that were missing then, correct?
They were unsuccessful, yes.
So from start to finish, from anyone who was brand new, a female, from start to finish, did any of them succeed their first time out?
You're talking about in totality, you're talking about this class specifically?
This class.
Okay. In this class, and again, I'm catching up because I'm new, but in this class, according to the data, out of the 5 reassigns, 3 of those made it all the way through to graduate. The 2 that started initially, or excuse me, others washed out, so no. So only the reassigned were successful. They're graduating this Thursday.
So no, okay, so nobody who started this class, the first go around, passed.
Females, you're speaking
Females,
of,
yes,
correct.
females. Okay, so that raises a bit of a concern, just because it looks like you've got 5 females reassigned. There were 7 out of 5, right? So 5 out of 7. And then for males, you have 8 reassigned out of 39 males. I'm concerned that there's something like what, and this is where the surveys come in. This is where an assessment of the academy comes in, which I think is really important. And I appreciate the work to try to, keep this talent, because I know a lot of people, some people, women, African Americans, have failed out of our academies, and then they've gone on to be successful in other departments. I want to make sure that the investment that we're putting in, because what does it cost to put, because I mean, first off, it's grueling, right? It's a grueling process.
Right.
It takes how long to go through the process, and what's involved in it?
The process beginning to end, I don't know specifically. It's a long time. And it's a long time for anyone that's gone through it, male or female, from start to finish.
Right.
From the times of preparing themselves to even become a firefighter, not just with our department, with any department. So, the department is concerned about the drill tower curriculum all the time, for consistency, standardization. It is a difficult academy. Any academy is. It's I much think about it. I went through the military, and it's changed over the years, but it's extremely difficult. You have to be not only physically prepared but mentally prepared throughout, and it's a difficult for all of us. So we share your concerns in terms of the success rates. We also all of us that wear a badge share a concern of the delivery and the consistency, the standardization, the equitability, all of it, ensuring that standard is such that it meets one of the things that we've been talking about is how great the fire department's doing, like on the brush fires that we just mentioned, and an exceptional level of service. All of us are concerned about that, me specifically, on what goes on in the academy. So the metrics that you're seeing are the metrics. We will be looking at surveys. We're looking for continuous improvement in everything we do. Specifically, I couldn't tell you specifically what without knowing the specifics of the individual, why they were unsuccessful or not, but these are just the metrics from that.
Right. So maybe I think that might be important to, and we can bring this up at the next meeting on the 1st of June. I think it'll be important to start looking, because it looks like just top level, there's a negative effect, right, on disproportionately to a minority group. And so, and I think that Chief Skelly will be bringing that on the 1st, which I look forward to that as well. I'm also looking at the overall numbers, and you have 46 recruits who started in this academy, and there's 28 graduating.
There's 31 graduating.
Okay, so 31. Now, does 46 includes the reassigns, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a mistake. In the report, it's 31.
Well, no. Yeah, I believe that's a mistake. When you said the bottom 28 graduating, there's 31. It's 28 or excuse me. Yeah, it's 31.
It's 31. So it's not
correct. Yeah, that's an oversight. Yes.
Okay, so 28 would be based in something else. Okay, so but that's a 33% attrition rate, which is not insignificant. What are your, I know you're new, to this position too. What are the actions, programs you're looking at to improve that?
Actually, we're looking at all of it. You know, I can't say specifically one thing. Traditionally, the academy's it's in that 20 to 30 range percentile of success rate. I think it's going to bear out over the years. I would really, as we look in Skelly's presentation, when he lays out the reassignment program, and that'll specifically lay out more like metrics and what that looks like. But I would say when we look at the training academy and we look at all of it, I mean, we're not just looking at the training academy, we're looking at even the recruitment efforts, everything we do.
Right.
You know, how can we improve? Because again, human capital is our number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking, like we just mentioned, the PSU and the LA Leadership Training Institute, things like that. We're trying to really put the investment in our human capital, you know, where it counts, and that's from beginning to end. Recruitment efforts on through the retention efforts of keeping, you know, probationaries and current members, promoting people, and then really the training academy specifically, what areas can we look at to improve on for better success? I can't say one thing specifically because we're looking at all of it. So, and it's not, and by the way, when I say that, there's some things that are just, are going to be that, I mean, you still need water to put out a fire. So some things aren't necessary that they need to be changed, but maybe some modalities or some methodologies. So we're looking at all of it with overall fairness and equitability across the board in everything we do.
Have you ever, and this is probably for the chief as well, there are, I know that there, like, don't quote me on it, but San Diego brought in a third party to do an assessment of their academy. Have we thought about doing that for ours? Just, you know, to get like we're doing with Deloitte, you know, an outside group. If something's created within, you know, it's harder to be objective. Is that something that you thought about?
The interesting thing is that, and I get phone calls a lot, and I even got them before when I was there. Believe it or not, a lot of departments nationwide look to us. I mean, a lot of departments, even some of the close departments right here in the region, look to us because of our success rates. And again, our level of expertise in a lot of different areas. So we have in the past, the department has had assessment done of our training efforts and established a number of things that we still do today. Again, there's departments that I field questions from San Diego that you just mentioned on things to improvement from there constantly, and I have. So when you compare departments and size and complexity and the different things and the things that we do differently, even equipment differences, it's really difficult to compare because you're not really comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these numbers. If 0 women passed from start to finish in this class, why? And I appreciate the reassignment program. I absolutely do. I think it's fantastic. Is there something we can look at that is requiring women, like majority, it looks like 5 women had to go through twice. So is there something we can look at to say, hey, you know, and I understand this has come up before, and you know, the idea of it's not lowering standards, it is trying to be the best we can be, and to make sure that, you know, we spend a lot of money. You know, if 33% are failing out, I mean, that's $1.5 million to $1.9 million just in this class that of human capital we've lost. So how do we, and that's just overall, that's not women. But, and you can guess what that, you know, extract from that.
Commissioner, if I may respond to some of your points.
Yeah.
This class is 33%, but I think this is not indicative of the overall program. Our overall pass rate or attrition rate is around 20 to 25%. So this is a little bit higher than the norm. I would anticipate that looking at the total number, you'll see a number that's closer to in the middle of that range, 20 to 25%. We have had audits done in the past on our training academy. And like Chief Gutierrez said, some of the recommendations were implemented and we still do today. We have been very successful in terms of percentage of females on our department as compared to other large departments. We're at 3.6%. LA County is at 1.5. New York is at 0.5. We'll never stop trying to get better. And I think the questions that you're asking are the right ones. And those are the ones we ask ourselves. How do we do better? I think the biggest element that helps our people, our new people, is the CAPS program. You know, that's where they are introduced to tools and equipment, and they also can start their physical fitness training. You know, the average person can't be a firefighter. They need a high level of fitness. They need a high level of dedication. And the CAPS has proven to be very successful. In fact, this class graduating, I think many of them, most of the graduates attended at least one or more sessions of CAPS. So I think that's where we have to really put our emphasis in the CAPS program. And that's what we'll continue to do. And we'll continue to strive to get better every time.
Yes, no, and I appreciate that. I think that this is also kind of pesky from pre-COVID as well. I know that the CAPS program is fantastic. And there's been a lot of programs implemented that are improving. I just look at this number that comes back and it's 0% and what exactly are we doing to, you know, yes, that's for prep, and that puts the onus on the person applying. And I get that, right? Like nobody, you know, not everybody's going to be a firefighter. This is a difficult job. Mm-hmm. And where exactly are there programs that, you know, are there things that we can look at that maybe don't reflect what's going on in the field or a test or evolution? Are there tricks? Are there ways to manipulate? Like various things, because not everybody's the same size, right? Not everybody, you know, like how you're gonna, you know, a 6-foot person is gonna lift a ladder is very different from a 5'4" person. So very different techniques. Are we just looking at those types of things? What are we doing really to kind of find out what exactly, why are we requiring basically, just in this class, just use this class, the women have to go through twice?
Well,
let me respond to that. As I thought about it too, because of COVID, we had to shut down our CAPS program. So perhaps this number is indicative of how important CAPS is. We have not had a CAPS program during COVID. And maybe that's a nexus to this 33% attrition. We'll have to take a deeper dive to look at it. So we are always looking. And I am not opposed to any additional studies. We are self-reflective, self-critical, and I'm very proud of all our graduates. Everybody who graduates from our drill tower deserve to wear the badge, at least to get to the next step, which is a probationary year.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it is extraordinary for someone to go through this program. It is very difficult. So I just want to look, I want us to look beyond CAPS. I think CAPS is extraordinary, and it is, but that puts the onus on the individual. What is going on is there something inside the academy? And I know that there's a drill tower audit going, and I appreciate getting that information. Is there a third-party assessment? Is there something else so that we're going to reflect the city we serve? We were supposed to be at 5% in 2020. We unfortunately missed the mark, and I want to help. I'm here to help and try to make sure that your goal, the mayor's goal, is achieved. And so when I see these numbers, I just want to make sure that, hey, have we looked at this? You know, have you gone in here, you know, to check? Have you brought in a third-party assessment? Like, those are things that other departments have done successfully. And, have we tried to look into that? So, and by the way, I know I'm taking up all the time, so I'm going to let people talk now. But yes, I definitely appreciate how difficult it is, but I also don't want it to have an adverse effect on a minority group that we're trying to, foster, because, it's important.
I concur with your perspective, Commissioner. I don't want to have a disproportionate effect on anybody. The 5% goal remains the goal. Next fiscal year, at the end of next fiscal year, I anticipate we'll be over 4% of female. And that will continue to drive us to meet that 5%. And we won't stop. We'll always continue to add more, try to add more. But I thought 7 years ago, 5% was a realistic goal. What I didn't know at the time was the number of female retirements, which was a historic number. But that's not an excuse. We still are going to push forward and find the most capable women and men to become firefighters for our fire department, who I truly believe, as evidenced recently, and I say it all the time, and I truly mean it, we're the greatest fire department on the world. Brush fires, COVID, earthquakes, structure fires, whatever the case may be, we are self-critical. We always strive to do better, and we will do better in this area as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Couple of quick things. The military came up. I just as a matter of comparison, even Army Ranger School graduates, 19% of their graduates who are women. And I don't think our academy is harder than Ranger School. So all of which is to say is, I think a deeper dive is in order. And I really look to this assessment question, the surveys and the lack of surveys, as a real issue here. The fact that we haven't been able to do surveys for several years, to me, that does not serve the members of this department and the members of UFLAG to not have surveys. What it does is it suggests that we're hiding something by not asking the questions of the people who are going through the academies and into probation and how they feel after the first year. I don't think we want to be hiding anything. I think to your point, Chief, you want to know. And we can't get better if we're not asking the people who are going through the training and who work here how they feel about it and how their experience was. So I can't for the life of me understand why UFLAG would disallow surveys or stand in the way of them happening. It is to the detriment of the people they represent. Several years ago, I think there was some initial data from probationary firefighters. And not only did it expose feedback on the academy, both good and critical, right? But it also showed us there was some significant mental health issues among probationary firefighters, which if not handled early on, lead to some very bad outcomes from mental health later down the road. So I am terribly concerned about the fact that we are not doing surveys of our probationary firefighters. And that's not just women. That's everybody who's a probationary firefighter and what their experience is. We have new generations of people coming through, younger people coming through. They have different attitudes, needs, responses to how we do things. And if we're going to maintain our status as the best fire department in the world, we will only do that if we are taking into account the changing information that we are getting from the people we serve and recognizing that we can't just write them off as complainers and whiners, right? But we actually have to recognize the fact that this is new generations of people coming through. The department is evolving with the times, and we will change. So all of which is to say, for us to maintain the standards we want to maintain, we must be surveying people. And anyone standing in the way of us surveying people is doing a grave disservice to this department and to the rank and file membership that are here risking their lives. So I don't know what to do about it. I'm not sure how UFLAG ended up with veto authority over it, but I would appeal to their membership and to their leadership to say, let these surveys go through. Let us survey the rank and file about their work experience. We should be surveying the entire department about their experiences anonymously and making changes that need to be made with that. It boggles my mind why we wouldn't do that. I agree with Commissioner Ninberg on the concerns on the numbers. I understand we continue to try. I think the approach, certainly there's been improvements. We'd be remiss not to recognize improvements that have been made over time. But we are doing this with one hand tied behind our back if we're not asking the very people that we are trying to recruit what they think about the department and what they think about the program. For women and people of color in particular, if they are not telling people who don't work here that they should work here, that's really important information for us to know. Because the best recruiters are the people in our department. And if there are women in the department who tell women not in the department, don't work here, it's not hospitable to women, we're never going to get to the numbers we want. Or if people of color are saying that, if anybody's saying that, right, we should know. So I don't know what to do about it, but putting the employees front and center here is really important, and getting their opinions and allowing them to express it without fear of reprisal is really critical. And that's what helps us maintain standards and remain in the place we want to remain as a department. Thanks.
Commissioner, I'd like to respond to that. I do not oppose surveys. And
I know you don't.
the initial thought that we had when we established our work environment, our labor management work environment, was to bring together all our stakeholder groups, including UFLAC and COA. And when we received the funding for the organizational study, it was that work group that would be the focus group that would reflect various perspectives, and we could collaboratively work together to develop surveys, anonymous surveys, which would be utilized by Deloitte when we get to that point. So I want to reassure you that anonymous surveys are important to me, and I will work collaboratively with our labor management work group to get buy-in and support for that effort to be successful.
Madam President, I hit the wrong button a minute ago, but I wanted to concur on many of the issues that were brought up by my fellow commissioners. And I was really happy to hear Chief Gutierrez talking about modalities, because we've talked about that before with the chief and when we had meetings. That is something to think about. I'm happy to hear that he's in that ballpark. And as a teacher, you know that evaluations, tests, surveys, all these things are positive. All it would do is to make me a better teacher. So that's what we hope that will happen with any survey or evaluation or whatever that comes out of the fire department. Will be the same thing. It will make the person a better person, because I take it from an old African proverb: if the student hasn't learned, I haven't taught. So that's why surveys and tests are really important to me. And I think that they should never be looked upon as a negative thing, because they're very positive. It really helps to move us to the next step. That's why we do far too many tests in our schools. We don't need as many in the fire department, but we do need some evaluations and surveys of some kind. So I concur with that. And it has been mentioned to me before that African-American firefighter women, females, have never passed unless they've been reassigned a second time to come through. I don't know how true that is. I've never really looked at it to see the hard data, but hopefully when Chief Scally comes with the information again, he will break it down for us ethnically so that we get to see both gender and ethnicity on who is doing what. Because I actually realize that I think that the reassignment program is a great program, because it's it really goes along with teaching styles and learning styles. So I really like that idea as a educator. And so I'm just happy to see that we're looking at this, that we're going to consider it, that we're bringing back the other program that we had to terminate shortly, temporarily, and that we'll be looking at the whole department somewhere in the future. Because I think it's only good for us to know who we are and where we are and what we're doing and what we're about. That's just makes us all a better group. And I think that includes me as a part of the commission. I include myself. I call the department my department. These are my people. Well, I want to be a part of it. I want to be with my people, and I want to know what my people are doing. And and so I really have been just taken ownership of this group. And I feel very seriously and deeply, and have met so many wonderful, wonderful people in the field who are doing wonderful, wonderful jobs. But we need to talk to everybody to get everybody's opinion. And there are lots of opinions out there that could help, because we have so many people in this department who have so many valuable ideas. It's not just a few people that sit around the horseshoe that are either have the gold badges. There are lots of people who could help. And I appreciate Chief for bringing the report forward, and I look forward to the update. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any further comments on this?
Madam President, if I could make one statement about,
Sure.
I just want to acknowledge that the leadership of this board has caused us and pushed us, and rightfully so, in a lot of areas. But one of the areas I'm most proud of is our diversity. We're a much more diverse department than we were 7 years ago. We've increased our diversity across the board. And we are a standard that the rest of the country looks at, like Chief Gutierrez mentioned earlier. And it doesn't happen by accident. It takes dedicated, focused effort. And we'll continue that. And that's what I believe will come out of this organizational study, which will include anonymous surveys. So thank you. I want to publicly thank the board for your leadership in the diversity issue.
Okay, thank you. Leticia, I'm getting some notifications that people don't know how to submit public comment if they're on the call. Can you make that announcement, and then we'll take public comment? Because we forgot to do that at the beginning of the meeting. I don't know how people are supposed to make public comment. Leticia, are you on? You're muted.
It's the same as it's been before, which is if you want to give public comment on this item, press star 9 to raise your hand. You will be called on by board staff who may refer to you with the last 3 digits of the number you are calling from. When unmuted by staff, press star 6 to unmute, and please state your name. So let me check now for raised hands. President Ibarra. I have phone numbers, but no raised hands. And sometimes there's a little delay. Oh, here, they're coming in now. One moment, please. Phone number ending in 745. I'm asking you to unmute. Okay, you're on now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please state your name, and I'll begin your 2-minute timer.
My name is Derwin Pitts.
Go ahead.
Good morning,
2 minutes.
Madam President. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Madam President. All fire commissioners, Chief Terrazas, and everyone in attendance. My name is Derwin Pitts, like I stated. I'm the Assistant Vice President of the Centurions. On behalf of the Centurions, we want to take this time and opportunity to say thank you and express our gratitude for discussing mutual interests. It is important to our organization to maintain a leadership role And our goal is to make sure that all members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department feel safe and supported. So again, I just want to say thank you to you and to the chief as well.
Comments, are your comments complete, sir?
My
Thank
comments
you.
are complete.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Next
You're welcome.
in line, thank you, sir. Next in line is I'm requesting to unmute, number ending in 105. Okay, your mic is
morning.
open.
Good morning, President Ibarra, Fire Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, City Attorney Freddie Escobar, President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, Local 112, representing over 3,500 brothers and sisters of the LAFD. Once again, it's like Groundhog Day, addressing lowering the standards from Commissioner Rebecca Ninberg. UFLAG's position, we have a standard for all candidates, regardless of race, gender, or ethnicity. We just had our 1-year anniversary on Sunday regarding the Boyd incident. Anytime Commissioner Ninberg or anybody on this commission wants to address the LAFD standards, which is the best fire department in the world, wanting to lower that standard, I want you to take a look at that video that occurred on March 16th, 2020. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We have another one.
Yes,
Okay.
I've asked to unmute.
I don't see their number, but they're call-in user _1.
Yes, I've requested twice that they unmute themselves.
If
So
you
I
still wanna
don't
make
have,
yeah, if you still call-in user 1, if you still want to make public comment, you need to unmute yourself, and then your 2 minutes will start.
oh, your mic is open now. Thank you. Go ahead and state your name and I'll begin your 2 minutes.
Good morning. This is Assistant Chief Jamie Moore, President of Chief Officers Association for the Los Angeles City Fire Department. Good morning, President Ibarra. Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners, Chief Terrazas. On behalf of the Chief Officers Association, I'd like to thank you for having this discussion. But I really want to emphasize what President Escobar just mentioned. I recently returned from the National Fire Academy, and I can tell you on a national level that the Los Angeles Fire Department sets the bar in the fire service. Recently, I had an overtime day at Fire Station 3 and had an opportunity to sit with a young lady who was testing for an engineer, and I asked her what her experience has been like, and she told me about the process, what she did to get on this fire department. And those are the type of people we want on this fire department. I have to commend Chief Terrazas and our administration for the recruitment efforts and where they're going out to find our candidates. This young lady happened to be a lifeguard for 9 years before she ever made the first application to the Los Angeles Fire Department. Our drill tower may not be easy, and unfortunately it may take certain individuals, both men, women, various races, more than once to pass our drill tower. But I can tell you, and you'll see this Thursday at graduation day, the people who stand before you and take pride in wearing the LAFD badge have worked hard to earn that badge. And they go out in that fire ground and they risk their lives for the people of Los Angeles. And our Chief Officers Association are there to support them every step of the way. So I really want you to think twice when we start talking about standards. And I know you said, it was said already that we're not asking you to compromise your standards or lower your standards. But when you really get down to it, we've looked at the drill tower, we looked at the testing process, we looked at the evolutions that they have to do to pass the drill tower. And I think it's fair for what they're facing on the fire ground. And we want to make sure that whatever we do when we graduate a candidate, that they're going to go out there with the knowledge and the abilities to operate safely so that they can go home to their families the next day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that concludes the public comments for item number 4A. So we can now go to number 5, which is public comment if we have any.
Did we take action on?
It's a receive and file.
Move to receive and file item, let's see, this is 4A.
A second. Jimmy was right.
Okay, can we have a voice vote?
President Ibarra,
Aye.
Vice President Glazier.
Aye.
Commissioner Hara,
Aye.
Commissioner Ninberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Woods Gray.
Aye.
Receive and file. Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, so if we don't, then we can, if we don't, we can adjourn.
For public comment period number 6, we had, and maybe this person is having problems getting in also. Derwin Pitts. I'm not sure. I have like 5 or 6 phone numbers at the bottom. Oh, here I see a hand raised now. One moment, please. It's Freddie Escobar again, but this is on another item. So
Yeah, this is public comment now.
I've asked to unmute. Okay, your mouth
He's
is
unmuted.
open now.
All right, good morning again, Commissioners, President Ibarra, City Attorney, Chief Terrazas, Freddie Escobar again, President of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, representing the brothers and sisters of the LAFD. I'd like to make public comments on a few issues here. Number one, I've been the president coming up on my 4th year, been in charge of Fire Commission for the last 6 years, and I want to stand before you in support of Deli Ibarra as our president. I worked with Chief Terrazas. I speak to him more than I speak to my beautiful bride on a regular day and on a weekly basis. And we are able to accomplish what we're doing for the LAFD because we work in collaboration and the leadership of Deli Ibarra. So on behalf of the brothers and sisters of the LAFD, UFLAG's position is to keep Deli Ibarra as our president and to continue the great work we're doing in collaboration. The second part is we talk about surveys. At UFLAG, we have a survey. It comes out every 2 years, and it's the election of the principal officers and the directors. And I'm proudly to say that all principal officers were elected by acclamation, and also all of our directors were re-elected. So that's our surveys for the LAFD and the leadership that comes through. And the last one is I look forward to having a discussion with Andrew regarding his experience in the fire academy and as a ranger for the service, because he's able to go ahead and bring that in discussion that he understands at 90% pass. So I look forward to your experience as a ranger and going through the academy, Commissioner Glazier. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any other further comments?
One moment and I'll double check. The only one that we had gotten a written request to speak was for a gentleman from the Centaurians.
Yeah, I think he spoke on item number 4 instead of item number 5. That's Mr. Pitts, correct? Yeah, I think he
correct.
probably, yeah, so I think he probably directed his comments at 4A.
Okay, that's all I
Yeah.
have. No
Yeah, so I
additional
think-
hands are raised.
I don't see any other comments, so then we could adjourn. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Sure, just to correct record, there's 19% passing the Rangers, just so President Escobar has the right number. Anyways, I do motion to adjourn. I do want to offer to adjourn, though, in memory of retired Captain Borden, who I did have the privilege to meet on several occasions at the museum and at Fire Service Day. I know he was truly an inspiration to so many in this department. And I know he will be very much missed. So I move to adjourn in memory of retired Captain Ford.
Of course, I think we all join on that. And we agree. Okay,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.